Hello, everyone. I am in Peoria at the Peoria Players Theater to see Young Frankenstein, and I'm about an hour early, so I have time to share a couple anecdotes about this theater. Number one, this is probably the standalone theater building that I have been past more than any other. So, not counting schools, not counting the Civic Center, which is not too far away from me. Um, in terms of just buildings just for theater, and other than the School of Theater at my college, which I would argue was also used for classes. But in terms of, you know what I'm saying. I think this is the one I've passed the most, not only because it's in a fairly busy part of Peoria, and I'm in Peoria fairly often, but I used to play hockey. The theater's right there. I used to play hockey right on the other end of the parking lot for 5 years. And this is literally, it's one big parking lot that connects from this building to that building. Um, so I was I was here all the time as a kid. Anecdote number two, this is one of the few theaters that I've been to a show before many years ago. I have a friend who used to do some community theater, and she was Rapunzel in their production of Into the Woods. Um, so I came with her husband and some other friends to go see that. And then anecdote two and a half, while at that show, literally sitting next to us was the high school boys basketball coach of the school that I taught at the time, and his wife. I would not have pegged him as someone that would go see shows, but I think his wife was. So that was surprising. So we kind of talked a little bit there. And then anecdote number three, since I've started going to all these shows, whenever I go to one, the people at my current school, this is my third year at my current school, they keep asking me about this kid that used to go to school there that's big into acting stuff. And he does stuff, I don't know how old he is, but I think he's still in high school. He does stuff at his high school, and he does stuff at the community theaters here in Peoria. And he wasn't in the show that I went to at his high school last November. And he wasn't in the Cornstalk Theater show that I went to a couple weeks ago. But he is in this show tonight. So finally, this person that people have been talking to me about for a month now, I'll finally get to see him perform. So I'm going to try to catch him after the show and just tell him, like, hey, man, everyone remembers you. So hopefully it'll be a good show. I like the movie. I don't know what the music's going to be, but it should be fun. So I'm going to go. I don't know when they open the doors. I'm still like 50 minutes early, but I'm going to go see if I can at least wait in the lobby, check that out. Because like I said, I've been here once before, but I wasn't paying much attention, and it was a long time ago. So I'm going to try to head inside. I'll let you know how it was. Okay, so Young Frankenstein. I'm going to try to keep this one more brief than usual. Partly because they're just longer than they need to be. Partly because I got stuff I got to do today. I got home around midnight last night, so I'm filming this portion Sunday. And I thought today was my day off, but some stuff has come up. And partly just because I don't have a lot to say about this, which sounds like a negative, but it's not. I really, really enjoyed it. The kid that's a former student of the school that I work at did very, very, very well. Everyone did very, very well. The only, if I were... Stop scratching me. Just trying to get my ticket. Okay, fine. You keep my ticket. If I were a critic, the only little thing that I could point out is that, a lot of the characters in this have accents. And sometimes the accents got dropped during songs. They would usually start the song with it, and then it would drop as the song got more and more intense, and they had to focus on the singing more. But that kind of works with a show like this. Hey, stop it! Stop eating my ticket! Don't bite me, bad cat. With a parody show like this, Not that I think they did it intentionally, but I think it works. Like it doesn't. It didn't take me out of the show. I just noticed it. Um, Other than that, the only thing I really have to say is that the movie is not a musical and the show is, and I don't know how many of those I've seen. I think maybe Big Fish is the only other thing I've seen where I've seen the movie that was not a musical, and then I saw the musical, which was a musical. But that one had some baggage attached to it. I saw that musical at this first school that I taught at after I was non-renewed. The following year, I had done Wonka my last year there, and the following year, the new teacher did Big Fish. So I went to go see it to support the kids. I don't remember much about it. I don't remember any of the songs, and I remember not liking it, but it's very possible that was more my personal baggage than anything else. I thought the kids did well. I just didn't care for the show. But not too many times I've seen what I knew as a movie without music turned into a musical. But the point I'm trying to get to, the songs all totally fit the vibe of the movie. They're all wacky, not all of them, but like for the characters that are singing them, for the scenes that they're in, they all fit with the tone of the movie. They don't take away anything. And an interesting note that I made for myself is that normally I don't enjoy long extended dance sequences unless they kind of have some kind of characterization about them. But I didn't mind the long dance sequences in this one. And I think some of them did have, a fair amount of characterization. Obviously, the putting on the Ritz. But, like, there's an extended sequence with, like, a bunch of ghosts of Frankenstein's past. And I don't know. For whatever reason, it didn't bother me like it normally would. Even though the show was quite long. It was 3 hours long. But I didn't mind seeing the dance sequences. Maybe that's just because they did them really well. I don't know. But I've seen like movies with professional dancers that I still think aren't necessary. But I don't know. But I'll be interested to see if anything pops out at me as to why I was okay with it in this one when I'm normally not. There was one really interesting dance scene where Frederick's fiance, I can't remember her name, in the movie, she's like, oh no, don't touch the hair, don't touch the lipstick, don't touch my nails. So there's a whole song called Don't Touch Me. And then there's a whole dance sequence where people are, dancing together, but they're not touching. And so they're like going in for the traditional, hand around the waist, hand up on the shoulder, but they're not making contact. I thought that was really interesting. And that was very early on in the show. So it might be that just that dance sequence won me over, because that does highlight a character, like a personality that helps to tell the story. It's not just in there for no reason. And so maybe, and then like the show later on in other songs and dance sequences references back to former dance sequences. So like there's a song where Igor is doing like a song and dance when he meets Frederick, and Frederick's like, it's all about how like we're gonna be partners, and Frederick's like, no, I'm not gonna be like my grandfather. And then Igor's like, come on, man. And Frederick's like, well, I do like to dance. And then he joins it. And so like, I don't know, maybe it's just because they're lampshading it, or they're acknowledging it, or it started off with enough goodwill that it carried me through. I'm not going to go through every single dance sequence in my head right now to try to figure out what weird little aspect of it made it okay with me, but there was enough of it. So that's significant only to me, because most people I feel like either like them or don't, and I usually don't, but I can be won over, and the dances in this one won me over. So that was Young Frankenstein. And I feel like I want to say more, but I don't have anything more to say, so I would just be rambling, and I have stuff to do today. So that's going to do it for me. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.